Clyde was a threat. I'm not saying he wasn't a threat, but me being compared to him, I took offense to that. To have a big guy of his size to be in the top 10 in steals. Now you can assume that he would be in blocks, which to me shows versatility of what type of guy he really was.
That is a foul. I know he's not the Jordan. And that earns him the technical.
To kill this guy. I'm supposed to dominate this guy. And from that point on, I did.
Michael Jordan didn't just beat Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, and Charles Barkley that night. He embarrassed the entire idea that Houston had built a super team strong enough to scare Chicago. January 11th, 1997 was supposed to be one of those heavyweight NBA nights where 3 Hall of Famers walked into the United Center and finally tested the Bulls dynasty. Instead, it turned into another Jordan reminder. No matter how many stars you stacked on the other side, the league still belonged to number 23. The Rockets came in with real names. Hakeem was still one of the most skilled big men alive. Clyde Drexler was a proven wing star and former Jordan comparison, which Michael never loved. And Charles Barkley had just joined Houston to chase the ring that kept slipping away from him. On paper, that trio sounded terrifying. You had scoring, rebounding, post dominance, leadership, toughness, and veteran pride. But here's the part nobody is talking about. The Bulls were not just built on names, they were built on chemistry, roles, trust, and Jordan's obsession with proving a point.
I'm not saying he wasn't a threat, but me being compared to him, I took offense to that. I was a little bit upset that I didn't get the MVP that year and they gave it to Charles Barkley. But with that said, okay, fine, you can have that.
Jordan always took these matchups personally. Drexler had already learned that the hard way in 1992 when people tried comparing him to Michael before the finals. Jordan admitted Clyde was a threat, but being compared to him offended him. That is the kind of competitor Jordan was. Compliment the other guy too loudly, and Michael turned it into fuel. So when Houston showed up with Hakeem, Clyde, and Barkley, you already knew Jordan was not treating it like just another regular season game. This was a stage, and Jordan loved stages. This is where it gets dangerous, because Houston came in looking like a team with answers, but Chicago forced them to ask questions immediately. The Rockets had star power, but the Bulls had control. Houston had big names, but Chicago had a machine. The first quarter showed that difference fast. The Rockets came out tight, searching for rhythm, forcing tough shots and shooting badly from the field. Chicago wasn't even red hot early, but they were composed. That was the difference. The Bulls did not need chaos to win. They just slowly squeezed you until the game started slipping away. Jordan opened calmly, getting his points, reading the floor, and letting the rest of the Bulls settle into the game. Scottie Pippen was already doing Scottie Pippen things, rebounding, defending, helping, and making life difficult. Dennis Rodman was already turning the glass into a fight. Ron Harper gave early scoring and defense. Tony Kukoc gave instant bench energy. And that is what made Chicago so scary. Even when Jordan wasn't going nuclear yet, the Bulls still looked organized. Houston looked like 3 legends trying to figure it out. Chicago looked like one organism.
To have a big guy of his size to be in the top 10 in steals. Now you can assume that he would be in blocks, which to me shows versatility of what type of guy he really was.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. Hakeem actually battled. This was not one of those games where Olajuwon disappeared. He still gave Houston real offense. He showed touch, skill, and even knocked down a rare 3. Hakeem was always a different kind of big man. Jordan himself respected how versatile he was, especially because a player that size could rank near the top in blocks, steals, rebounds, scoring, and shooting percentage. That tells you Hakeem was not just a center, he was a complete basketball problem. But even his brilliance could not save Houston from the Bulls' machine.
I mean, we weren't enemies. I know he's going to come at me, and guess what? He knows I'm coming at him.
Yeah.
I'm going to play my game. If you get in my way, I'm going to knock your nose off.
Yeah.
Same way with him. We're going to
Clyde Drexler, though, never found the kind of rhythm Houston needed from him. And that mattered, because Clyde was supposed to be the perimeter balance. He was supposed to keep pressure off Hakeem and make Chicago pay when the defense shifted. But against the Bulls, especially with Pippen and Harper hounding wings, nothing came easy. Drexler was not just missing shots, he looked uncomfortable. And against Jordan, that's the worst place to be. because Michael could smell when a rival was fading.
Of Charles's golf swing.
I don't comment. That's embarrassing. It's really disgraceful that, he can take a game of leisure and relaxation and make it a lot of work.
That was cruel.
Charles Barkley had a rough night. He was brought in to make Houston tougher, more physical, more dangerous. But Rodman made that matchup a psychological battle. Barkley finished with only 8 points and could not impose himself at all. Rodman did not need to score 25 to dominate. He dominated by making Barkley uncomfortable, grabbing rebounds, and killing Houston's second-chance hopes. This is where young fans make a mistake. They look at 3 Hall of Famers and assume that automatically equals a better team. It does not. Star power is not chemistry. Names are not timing. The Rockets had Hakeem, Clyde, and Barkley, but they were older and still trying to blend roles. The Bulls knew exactly who they were. Jordan was the killer. Pippen was the do-everything weapon. Rodman was the chaos agent. Everybody had a job. Houston found some offense in the second quarter. Hakeem got going, Drexler chipped in, and the Rockets shot better. But the Bulls had a terrifying answer. Jordan barely needed to score because the Bulls' bench carried the work. Kukoc hit big shots. Kerr and Randy Brown added timely buckets. That is when Houston had to realize this was not just about Michael. Then the second half came, and Jordan flipped the switch. He poured in 22 points after halftime on efficient shooting, including 4 threes. This was mid-30s Jordan, and that version might have been even more ruthless, smarter, calmer, meaner, more surgical. Every jumper felt like a message. Every time Houston thought it could breathe, Jordan took the air back out of the building. When Jordan started hitting threes, Houston had nowhere to hide. You already had to worry about the post-up, the mid-range, and the free throw line. Once he stretched the floor, the Rockets were finished. Jordan ended with 32 points and shot 4 of 6 from 3. But the numbers alone do not explain it. He controlled the emotional temperature of the entire game. While Jordan was cooking, Pippen twisted the knife with 13 second-half points, threes, assists, and suffocating defense. Then Kukoc came off the bench and went 7 of 8 for 17 points. Every time Houston loaded up on Jordan or Pippen, Kukoc punished them. That is what championship depth looks like. Chicago shot nearly 49%. Houston shot around 37%. Chicago dominated the glass 59-44. That's not just a skill gap, that's a chemistry gap and a dynasty gap. The Bulls won 110-86, a 24-point beatdown. 3 Hall of Famers walked in with hype and left looking like they were a full tier below. Hakeem had 29 and held up his end, but Clyde had 7, Barkley had 8. Jordan alone had more than double their combined total. When the lights came on, Jordan looked like Jordan, and Houston's supporting legends looked overwhelmed. The rest of the season said everything. The Bulls went 69-13. Jordan won another MVP. Chicago beat Utah for championship number 5. Houston won 57 games, but never became the monster people imagined. The chemistry was never right. The age showed, and Stockton's famous 3 eventually sent them home. Barkley later admitted the fit was not what he thought. The chemistry was off. They were aging. That kind of honesty tells you exactly what Jordan exposed early. Some regular season games tell the truth. This one did. Houston had the names. Chicago had the dynasty. And that night at the United Center, Jordan didn't just win a basketball game. He embarrassed 3 legends and reminded the entire NBA that the crown was not available. Not while he was still in Chicago.